gonna kick the new year off by sharing 3 absolutely amazing ideas taken from my recipe ebook, Balance. The full recipes can be found within the ebook, which is available over on my website. I'm gonna be sharing a black bean and celeriac peanut stew. The celeriac and the peanut butter work incredibly well together. This is rich, this is flavorful. I'm gonna be sharing a mung bean lemongrass dal. This is like a staple this time of year. It's just a must. And the last idea is this chickpea crumble. It's one of those random ideas that I just had. It has winter written all over it. Think creamy mushrooms with layered butternut squash and like a crispy chickpea topping. I'm so geared up. I am so ready to get back into my kitchen to continue exploring, learning while sharing my creativity, my passion, my love for food with you all. So this year, I really want to focus on finessing and fine-tuning the platform that I've created. But that means stepping my game up with my visual content, both here on YouTube and on Instagram. I've just completed the Instagram worthy photography course, Shoot, Edit, Share with Brandon Warfel from Skillshare. Skillshare is an incredible online learning community that I most definitely make full use of to empower and accomplish my goals. What I love most about Skillshare is the diverse range of classes they offer, from photography to business to design. The Instagram class that I've just completed has given me the push in ways in which I'm going to unlock my creativity. It's also given me huge insight into getting started with Photoshop, something that I'm not so confident with. So Skillshare is offering my audience 2 free, and when I say free, totally free months of premium membership to help you explore with whatever area of interest you have. To sign up for the 2 free month membership, click the link in the description box below. After that, it's about $10 a month. So yeah, a big shout out to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. So drop me a comment, let me know which idea you will be trying out first. Let me know how it goes. Also tag me over on my Instagram at tishwonders. Let's head over to the kitchen. Let's go cook. So the first recipe taken from my ebook Balance is this black bean and celeriac peanut stew. The combination of the celeriac and the peanut butter just goes so incredibly well together. If you don't do peanut butter, you can use any nut butter in place. This is like the perfect warming winter dish that you guys are going to love. So for this deep winter warming one pot dish, you could call it a chili or you could call it a stew. We are going to be needing a red pepper. We're going to be needing some onions, some garlic, some ginger, a juicy lime, some tomato paste. We are going to be needing the secret key ingredient, which is of course peanut butter, which you can sub for any nut butter if you wish to. We're going to need some passata. Of course, you can use some plum tomatoes or chopped tomatoes in place, some cooked black beans, and then the celeriac, which is otherwise known as celery root, which I just learned actually. I think you guys in the States call it celery root. So we're going to start off with the basics, the foundation of this dish. So we're going to chop up our onions, we're going to crush our garlic, peel it, and then finely chop it. We're going to give our ginger a good grate. I always love to use my hand grater when working with ginger. This just releases more of the juiciness from the ginger. You're going to get more of an intense ginger flavor. Most definitely not in season, but so necessary for this dish, for this stew. So we're going to chop our red pepper into cubes. And then we're going to work with our beloved celeriac, which, if I'm honest, yeah, it looks a little bit unattractive from the outside, but once you peel that skin, you will reveal one of the most delicious winter vegetables that I know, that I've ever tried. So go ahead and grab your big pot or your big saucepan, whatever you choose to cook this dish up in, and go ahead and add in some coconut oil. So place in the onions, the garlic, and the ginger, and then cook everything on a low to medium heat. We're just going to soften everything. This is winter. This is all about slow cooking. We want to slowly build up these flavors. Continue cooking everything on a low heat and place in the chopped red peppers. So we are going to continue by adding all of our wonderful spices in. So we're going to use some curry powder, some cumin powder, a teeny pinch of clove, some red chili flakes, some dried parsley, a good dash of sea salt, and a good crack of black pepper. So combine everything, get those flavors intense, get those flavors booming in your kitchen. Those spice combinations are literally going to bring a light to your kitchen. It is just going to smell delicious. So once everything has softened and cooked down, once those spices have magnified, it's time to place in the passata. So go ahead and swirl that passata in, followed on by a little bit of tomato paste, and give everything a mix. It's then time to swirl in that creamy, smooth peanut butter, which is just gonna add like a really rich, creamy tone to this dish. Place in those cooked black beans, followed on by the chopped celeriac, and then mix everything well. Throw in some water. This is just gonna cook the celeriac. It's just gonna cook down this wonderful, wonderful stew. So place the lid on and cook the dish down. So once the dish is cooked, once that peanutty, velvety, tomatoey sauce has thickened up and that celeriac is softened, go ahead and squeeze in some lime juice and throw over some coriander. So this black bean, celeriac and peanut stew would actually work really well by itself. I love to pair it with some basmati rice. So pour over that piping hot black bean, celeriac and peanut stew, pour that stew over, and then top it with some coriander, some more coriander, some chili, some more lime, so you can squeeze all of that lime juice over this dish. I love exploring the less popular types of vegetables when they're in season. Celeriac, for the most part, is very accessible, it's very inexpensive, it's filling, and it is delicious. And I really, really encourage you guys to go and try a vegetable that you wouldn't usually. You will be pleasantly surprised. So the next dish that I'm going to be sharing from Balance is a chickpea crumble. You're probably thinking, what is a chickpea crumble, Tish? Now, this is just the name that I came up with this recipe that I created. It was one of those random recipes that just came to my mind and I had to execute it. So it's basically a dish with different layers. So the bottom layer is like this creamy, garlicky mushroom and kale sauce. We're going to place on top some steamed butternut squash, and then we're going to make the chickpea crumble, which is just packed. When I say packed, jam-packed with loads of delicious dried herbs and a few spices, and that's just going to crisp up on top beautifully once we put it in the oven. So the ingredients for this mind-blowing dish include onions, garlic. You can use lots of fresh herbs, lots of dried herbs, so rosemary, sage. We're going to be using a leek. It's just that time of the year for lots and lots of leeks in soups and dishes like this. We're going to be needing some kale, mushrooms. If you can get your hands on some good quality wild mushrooms for this dish, yes. Some soft chickpeas. These chickpeas I soaked and then I cooked in my pressure cooker, which just gives them so much more flavor. The coconut milk is going to be the creamy element of this dish. If you're allergic to coconuts, then you could definitely sub with using any type of cream that you wish to. And the last ingredient will be some butternut squash. We're going to need a good, tasty butternut squash for this dish. So I chose to leave the skin on my butternut squash. If you want to remove it, that's totally fine. You can peel it off and then chop it into these types of half disc shapes. So place the butternut squash onto steam. You want to steam it very, very quickly. You want to steam it until it's al dente. You don't want to get the squash too soft. So continue on by slicing up the onions and finally chopping up that garlic. We're going to use a lot of garlic for this dish. And then you're going to chop up your leek. So give it a good wash before chopping. Chop your leek up finely, and then give it a good wash after chopping as well, before and after. So we're going to chop up our kale. This kale is going to be cooked down really, really well in the sauce. Give your mushrooms a good wash and slice them. I know it always appears before you cook mushrooms that you've got a lot, but once you cook them, they literally shrink. So don't be fooled. So grab your pan and throw in some coconut oil. Throw in the onions, the garlic and the leeks, cooking until they are soft. So place in some sea salt, some black pepper, and you know what's coming? That good splash of tamari, which I haven't said in a while. It feels strange, but yeah, go ahead and place in some tamari. This dish, like I mentioned, is herb packed. No holding back with herbs. So we're going to throw in our dried sage, oregano and parsley, followed on by a little bit of cumin powder, and then we're going to swirl in that coconut milk. Oh my goodness, everything is going to be bubbling away, and we really want to cook the coconut milk until it thickens. So we want to reduce the coconut milk, which will happen. Just give it time, be a little bit patient. So once the sauce is thickened up a little bit, throw in the kale and the mushrooms. As you can see, I went even crazier with the herbs, more black pepper. Yeah. So once the mushrooms have the garlicky flavor running through them, give it a taste, then you know you are good. You know this is seasoned well. You know it is ready to go in this chickpea crumble. So speaking of crumble, we are going to make our quote-unquote chickpea crumbles. So to do this, you're going to take your soft cooked chickpeas, place them in a pot or a bowl, scatter over some sea salt, some black pepper, the usual, and then throw in some smoked paprika, some garlic powder, some dried parsley, dried sage, swirl over some olive oil or some oil of choice. This is really going to help the chickpeas crisp up. We want a crispy topping for our chickpea crumble. So time to layer this incredible dish. So we're going to take our creamy kale, mushroom, leek mixture. We're going to place that at the bottom, and then we're going to place on top those steamed butternut squash slices. So place those on top. So I threw over some fresh rosemary, a little bit of black pepper and a little drizzle of olive oil. And then I placed the chickpea crumble on top. Like I said, it's going to crisp up. This is going to taste divine. That dried sage is the secret ingredient for this chickpea crumble. It tastes like stuffing. If you're a stuffing fan, you are going to love this dish. But in the ebook, I cover the crumble with a little bit of foil. I don't actually have any foil. What I'm gonna do is turn the oven down a little bit. So I'm gonna cook it in a 180-degree oven for around 20 to 25 minutes. Once everything is literally oozing and bubbling to the top, once that creamy sauce is bubbling to the top, and once those chickpeas have gone golden and they have crisped up. Every time I prepare this recipe, I fall a little bit more in love with it. The combination of those creamy mushrooms with those leeks, and then that soft steamed butternut squash in between, and those flavor-packed, herb-packed, crispy chickpeas. Oh my goodness, this one is a definite winner. So the last dish that I'm going to share with you, taken from my ebook balance, is this mung bean lemongrass dal, which has been a long time favorite of mine. I absolutely adore lemongrass. We're going to make this really spicy, zesty, basically this curry paste with lots of kick, lots of flair. For this standout mung bean lemongrass dal, we are going to be needing some garlic, lots of ginger. We're going to be using some onions, some coriander, some chili, some lemongrass, of course, some fresh turmeric. We're going to be needing some spice seeds like cardamom, some fennel, some cumin. I've got some tin tomatoes, some coconut milk, which is just going to blend so beautifully with the lemongrass and the lime and all those delicious spices that we're using. Some dried mung beans, which are accessible for the most part. I usually find them in my local supermarket. So a very important step, which I'm always talking about, soaking. We are going to soak these mung beans overnight, preferably. So preparing our insanely delicious lemongrass curry paste is really, really simple. We're going to peel all of the ingredients and we're going to throw it into a food processor. So let's peel the onions, we're going to peel the turmeric, the ginger, the garlic cloves. So we're going to throw in all of our spice seeds and powders, including the cumin, the fennel, the cardamom, the garam masala, a fresh chili, a generous amount of sea salt, some black pepper, and some coconut oil to help everything move swiftly in the food processor. So like I mentioned, I love to make this up in big batches. This will just smell so divine already. We've just made the curry paste and your whole kitchen is going to smell absolutely incredible. So grab a saucepan and place in that curry paste. Remember, we put coconut oil in it, so nothing's going to burn. We're going to cook everything very gently down. Continue stirring the curry paste, then cook it down for around 5 minutes. Once you can smell those strong aromas of that lemongrass, then you know you're good to go to continue with this dish. So go ahead and pour in that coconut milk, followed on by the fresh tomatoes if you're using them, or chopped in tomatoes like I'm using. So give the soaked mung beans a really good wash and place them into the saucepan with the lemongrass curry paste. Swirl over some water. This is just going to cook the mung beans down. So cover the pot with a lid. So with this recipe in particular, you need to make sure that you're constantly kind of stirring. So keep an eye on it. I like to keep an eye on the mung beans. If I feel like they're getting too thick without the mung beans actually cooking and I need to add more water, then I will go ahead and add water accordingly. So before this incredible mung bean lemongrass dal is cooked, I love to chop up some fresh coriander. You need coriander for this dish for sure. Give everything a final mix before serving. I served it with quinoa and I served it with some sauerkraut. I love a little bit of sauerkraut every now and then. This is like a beetroot one. And then I topped it with some avocado. This warming, fragrant mung bean dal does it for me every time. There we have it, 3 winter warming ideas taken from my recipe ebook Balance. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it's given you some fuel, some inspiration for your week ahead. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. See you all soon. Bye.